Michigan State football blows just a game they can't blow straight up. They were up, I believe, 24-6 against Rutgers. By all accounts, it was a sloppy, confusing, messy, rain splattered game. But I think Michigan State was dominating that rain splattered game through three quarters.
Mhm.
Like, they were making the big plays in the big moments. They were the ones limiting mistakes. Katin Houser made his debut. First drive, marches this team down the field, gets in the end zone. I thought he had some shaky moments after that, but all in all, for a first performance in the rain on the road, Katin Houser gave your football team chances to win. And then this football team did what this football team has done, no matter who is playing quarterback. They just shot themselves in the face 6 times in a row. Like, it does not matter. We've talked, like, what if you drop Caleb Williams on this team? Who knows? Like, Caleb Williams isn't going to stop the special teams unit from doing what they did against Rutgers in this game. And they just blew the game straight up. It snowballed. You could see Harlan Barnett on the sidelines. Like, it's like you saw them recover that fumble in the end zone. You knew what was going to happen. So there's been a lot of dialogue on this. We're like 3 days late on this. I know a lot of people put content out on Saturday. We waited until Monday to try to collect our thoughts. But I think the big question, Michigan is a week away. Is this the lowest point it can go for Michigan State football?
Yeah, it is. It is because we could lose 50-0 Saturday, and I wouldn't be surprised. And Michigan State alternate line plus or minus 38 is going to find a way to be placed. This football team is just unbelievably. I don't know what word to use because embarrassing doesn't feel like enough, but it's just like, come on. I found myself watching the game and I was just in shock and awe about like the travesty that was unfolding between like right before my eyes. Like, you have the punt formation to legal formation to repunting again, that leads to a missed punt, fumble, touchdown for Rutgers. And then I have in my life, I watched a lot of college football and football. I've never seen something like that kickoff where we just let it bounce and they got an onside kick recovery on their own 20. And then we just got punched in the mouth repeatedly by this running back for Rutgers. I mean, I think he had 109 yards rushing in the fourth quarter alone. But we didn't even have a chance to be on the field. We literally just gave them the game. And it was a demoralizing loss. It really was. I wasn't able to bounce back all day Saturday. And just when I thought like it couldn't get lower, I think that's it. That was the lowest point. That's the lowest point of Michigan State football that I think will happen moving forward until a new coach is hired and improvements are made and the program is shifted, because this is like a really bad football team. And I think, you can point at maybe the talent of the team. Obviously, I don't know if they have guys like other teams have, but not only is it like a guys thing, it's also they do things bad football teams do. Like, they beat themselves. They find ways to lose games. I feel like I'm watching the old Lions that like they find some way, they find new ways to lose football games. And as of late, it's been special teams mistakes, which is just it's a mental thing with special teams mistakes. So I don't think this football team can get any lower at this point. At myself as a fan, this is the lowest I've ever felt, I think, as a Michigan State football fan. And I don't think it's an overreaction either. I truly think this is the lowest with everything going on and then how we're losing football games.
Yeah, I mean, this game felt like the one moment in the season where there were still going to be things at stake. Like, if you could have won this football game, or let's just say it was 24-6, right? If they just hold, say they tie the fourth quarter and they win that game by 18 points, then I think the fan base is at least reinvigorated to the point of like, okay, there's still a bowl game on the table here. Like, this team showed what they can do both this season and in the future potentially. Like, some of the future pieces finally got a shot, Katin Houser being the biggest one. And there's still things to play for. Now you lose this game in the fashion you did. It's clear everybody wants many of the members of this coaching staff gone. Many will be gone. As soon as they hire somebody else, that person's going to come in and clean house. The players are going to leave. Like, we're just in purgatory, right? Because it's going to be a transition at the end of the season no matter what. And now you've crossed the point of no return for this season where there isn't really anything to play for, in my opinion. And that's I know I'll get flack for that. Like, you're playing Michigan. Obviously, you have something to play for. But let's be completely honest, this team's not making a bowl game. They still have to play Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan. If you lose those 3 games, no matter what you do outside of it, you're going 5-7, and the season's over. So, that's really tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. Had you won this game and you're 3-3, you're sitting there saying we can still get to 6-6, even without beating 3 of the top 8 teams in the country. What do you think is going to happen with Michigan? Because I do think it's critical timing that they play Michigan in East Lansing next week. You got Katin the 1 star. I think our Katin projections, even though you and I have been on opposite sides of this, my projection from a couple weeks ago about how this would go down seemed pretty on point. Like, it was like, you're not going to throw him to the Wolves at Kinnick. You're going to give him the bye week, and then you're going to roll him out at Rutgers, hope he gets his feet under him before Michigan. That's essentially how this played out. And he looked all right. Like, he at least is a guy that, like, maybe could inspire some hope in an individual way against Michigan. But Michigan opened, I believe, as 24-point favorites, which is insane. What do you make of that game?
I'm all over Michigan minus 24.
Michigan doesn't cover big spreads like that much, though.
I think Michigan's a good football team, though, and I think that they can pounce on teams that make mistakes. And Michigan State's going to make mistakes. That's just who this football team is. That's what they do. And I'll tell you right now, the Michigan DBs aren't dropping passes that are being thrown to them. Like, Katin threw some really tough passes that I thought should have been picked off. And also, he just seemed to have a knack to throw a lot of contested throws. And contested throws aren't going to work against, like, Will Johnsons of the world and Mike Samerstills of the world. Like, it's going to get it could get really out of hand very quickly. And if it does get out of hand, Michigan's not going to stop either.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be a run it up type situation. So this could get very, very ugly very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, Rutgers, Kyle Monungai had 24 carries for 148 yards in this game in the rain when they couldn't get much going through the air. Like, I think Michigan is going to be able to run right through this defense. Also, like, we don't need to make this a Michigan segment, but Michigan's really, really good. Like, this is the best version of Michigan football that they've had. And they've obviously had great teams in the last 4 years, but, like, this is like senior quarterback, 5th-year Heisman candidate running back. Defense is legit. They've held every team to 10 points or less. Like, they're a put the foot on the pedal and just leave it on the gas for 60 minutes every Saturday team. Like,
yeah,
when you put a bad football team against this Michigan team, they just steamroll them. It's happened every time they've played and they've played 6 bad football teams. They haven't played a team with Pulse yet. So, unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be much difference here. Let me ask you this on Kate, and then we can move on. You were on the optimistic side for Katin. You convinced me that it was time he needed to start, and you were hopeful there was some higher ceiling there than what we saw from Noah Kim. Was this better or worse for your future projection for Katin? I don't want an evaluation of what he did in this game, but based on what you saw, does this make you feel better or worse about the possibility that Katin should be the guy long term?
I think it makes me feel better. I think it makes me feel better about it. I definitely think he showed some things and made some plays. Physically, also, I think he just has I think he has more of an advantage physically than people give him credit for with Noah Kim. Like, Noah Kim was said to be like the more running, elusive guy. Katin's truly actually not that bad, and is also a bigger body. And I think he's more athletic than people give him credit for. Me and you talked about it offline, how I felt about this game coming in. I thought it was going to be either fluky in a good way or fluky in a bad way, just because of the weather and everything like that. And you saw that in this game. I thought there were some good passes by Katin, but also, like, Maryland dropped 2 picks that I can remember, and some things went his way. But I think overall, I feel good about thinking that Katin gives this team a higher ceiling. And that's not saying that it's like it's going to force this football team to wins, or honestly even force this team to compete. But I think just apples to apples comparison, I saw more with Katin, I think, than I have with Kim in his starts.
Yeah, I tweeted this out, but it can be simultaneously true that it's obvious Katin should be given the keys. And also, Katin didn't play very well. And regardless, it doesn't matter because I truly believe the rest of this team is so bad and so inept in so many different places that it doesn't matter how good the quarterback is. And Michigan State doesn't have a guy who can like single-handedly drag a team to be something they're not. I said it a couple weeks ago. It's really hard to be a quarterback of a bad football team, because even if you do play well in your individual role, there's just so many things around you. There's 11 guys on the field at all times. And certainly the guys around whoever plays quarterback for this team do not make it easy on the quarterback to win football games.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, I don't think Katin was good in this game. Like, I 100% think he should be given the keys. He showed the promise. And the thing that intrigues me most is on the ground. Like, I think you're right. I think he is really elusive. I think you can do some design run stuff with him that looks really, really smooth. I get some Rocky Lombardi vibes to him, which, like, I mean, Rocky Lombardi beat Michigan pretty much single-handedly because he's a feisty little quarterback. But, like, do you think this was Katin's like C game? Like, do you think where was this on the A to F scale for Katin Houser?
I would go like B minus.
See, this is my problem. If Katin's actually going to be a good guy long term, I would hope that you would say this was his F game.
F?
I mean, he threw for 4 yards per completion and had 3 balls that should have been picked. One of them should have been an obvious pick six. Like, I thought through the air, he was horrendous in this football game.
That's horrendous.
I mean, it was 4 yards per completion cart. He threw for 133 yards.
Like, I know, but I just don't know if we can judge a guy through the air in a game that's a monsoon.
I guess I
guess I wouldn't give a grade.
Okay, I'm fine saying incomplete, but I can promise you if that exact performance was done by a different quarterback in that room, the online narratives are much different about it. We've got already beat writers with cut up film of these should have been 3 pick sixes. He's not giving the team a chance to win. And meanwhile, Katin was given the ball with multiple chances to win this game in the 4th, and nothing happened. So,
yeah, well, I'd also like to throw out there that Jay Johnson does his team absolutely no favors at all. I don't know if it's because he's sitting in the booth calling the plays, but I don't think he realized that it was an absolute monsoon, and maybe you shouldn't be throwing 15-yard out routes to the sideline when it's a torrential downpour.
Yeah. Look, I am team clean house. I just think cleaning house includes cleaning out Katin Houser. That is my hope as a Michigan State football fan. We'll see, but upsides there. We'll see what he does against Michigan next week in East Lansing. I'm going to be there, by the way. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you did tell me that.
I don't remember telling you that. Well, I'm
okay. You did tell me that. What does Katin have to do to get a 15-second segment of you, or what does he have to do to, at the end of the game, you'd be like, maybe Katin is the guy?
Well, that's the thing is I think I'm simultaneously saying he is the guy, but also he's not good.
Oh, got you. Okay.
He is the guy. He clearly should be the quarterback of this team.
Okay. Well, what does he have to do to be like he's good, or does that have to be like multiple games, or do you have to see multiple things, or have you seen enough, or have you seen enough?
I won't say I've seen enough because it's still a small sample size, and you're right, the weather was bad. But I think every time we've seen Katin, he's thrown the ball to the other team, and that was the issue everyone was mad about with Noah Kim, but nobody's mad about it with Katin. So, which I guess is kind of like MSU Twitter's original point was like, if we're gonna make mistakes no matter what, play the guy with the upside, which is fair. But I just think like Katin is literally trying to throw picks every game, and
but Kim was actually throwing them.
Again,
Maryland did drop. I mean, they dropped them, but they dropped them.
So
not Rutgers.
We can use the weather as an excuse against Katin. We can also use it as an excuse for Katin, because if the weather wasn't bad, all 3 of those are picked.
Maybe they throw them and the weather isn't bad.
We'll see what happens, man. I like. Can he get in the end zone once against Michigan? I think that would be impressive.
Okay, maybe. No, probably not.
All right. Well, then that's my bar. Then
I think MSU team total under is probably the bet of the year. Whatever. If it's anything under 10, take it.
What's Katin's line look like a week from now when we come on here, the Monday after the Michigan State game? How many yards, how many touchdowns, how many interceptions?
215 yards, 2 picks, 1 rushing touchdown.
I think that would be a fantastic performance from Katin. If he does that, I will come back on here and say he was great. I really will.